question says a farmer buys an animal for 40,000 and sells for 33,000. What is the percentage loss? How do we do this? Solution. Okay, so we look at the question. The farmer buys an animal for 40,000. Okay, so we have this as the cost price. Okay, so the cost price is 40,000 and sells for 33,000. So we have this as selling price. Okay, so the 33,000. So when we look at this, okay, so we see that the cost price, okay, the cost price, which is CP, is greater than the selling price. Okay, automatically we have loss. Okay, so when we look at this, the question says what is the percentage loss? So we have to identify the loss from this transaction. So how do we do that? We subtract 33,000 from 40,000. So when we say 40,000 minus 33,000, okay, so we have this to be 7,000, which is the loss. Okay, so we have to express this as percentage. So to do that, the percentage loss, okay, so we have to use this formula. So we say loss divides, we express it as percentage of cost price, okay, times 100 over 1. Okay, so for the percentage loss, so for loss we have that to be 7,000, okay, divides the cost price, which is 40,000, okay, times 100 over 1. So we simplify, this can go with this, okay, this can go with this. So we have 2 in 10 is 5. Okay, so when we multiply what we have left, we have 7 times 5 divide 2. Okay, so for 7 times 5 is 35 divides 2. So here we have this as 3 is 1. Okay, in 15 is 7, so we have 7.5% or 7.5%, which is the percentage loss. Okay, the question says a cell phone that cost 57,800 was sold at the loss of 12.5%. What was the selling price? Okay, so the cost price of the cell phone is 57,800 and the selling price was, when the phone was sold, we aren't given the information for the selling price, but it's sold at the loss of 12.5%. What is the selling price? So how do we do this? Solution. Okay, so when we look at this in the question, the cost price equals 57,800. Okay, so the selling price is unknown. Okay, we have to determine that, but it's sold at the loss of 12.5% or 12.5%, either of the two. So we have to determine the selling price. So what do? We apply this to this. So we say 12.5%. Okay, for 12.5%, when we change this to an improper fraction, we have 2 times 12 to be 24 plus 1. That's 25 over 2. Okay, times 1 over 100 as a result of this percentage. So when we simplify this, we have 25 here to be 1, 25 here to be 4. So we have 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 4, that is 8. Okay, so we now say 1 over 8 times 57,800. So from here we simplify. So we can use 8. 8 here is 1. 8 and 57. Okay. 8 times 7 is 56. Okay. So we have here 1. 8 times 2 is 16. Okay. We have 2. Okay. 8 times 2 is 16. So we have 4. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay. So we multiply this with this. Okay. So we have 7,225 as the loss, okay, on the item. So that means this item, which is the phone, was sold below the cost price. Okay, for them to have loss, the item was sold below the cost price. So let us determine the selling price of the phone. So for the selling price, so how do we get that? So we say the cost price, that is 57,800 minus 7,225. Okay, so to do that, we can calculate that somewhere here. So here we have 7,225. By the time we subtract, so here we have this as 7, this is 9, this is 5, 7, 5. Okay, so we are having 50,000. Okay, 50,575 as the selling price of the phone. Okay, so that means when we subtract this from this, we arrive to 7,225, which stand for the what? For the loss. The question says a trader bought some compact discs for 3,500 per pack. She sold them at a 12% profit. What was the selling price per pack? How do we do this? Solution. Okay, so when we look at this question, a trader bought some compact discs for 3,500 per pack. So bought, that is the cost price. Okay, so the cost price is 3,500. Okay, per pack, and she sold them at 12% profit. So at 12% profit, okay, 12%. Okay, what was the selling price per pack? So we have to determine the selling price. Okay, so how much did she actually sold this compact discs, okay, to make 12% profit? So what do we do? So we apply this to this. That is step one. So we say 12%, okay, of 3,500, okay, which implies 12 over 100 times 3,500, okay. So we simplify this. This goes with this. So we have 12 times 35, okay. So for 12 times 35, we can have it this way, okay. This 70, this 5, this 3, so we have 7, okay. So this 420, so this 420 is the profit, okay, is a profit, which implies 12%, which seems as 420. So we have to determine the selling price. So to get that, we add this 420 to the cost price. So the selling price, okay, will be 3,500, okay, plus 420. Okay, so when we do that, we have 3,920, okay, as the selling price of this compact disc. Okay, so when you see the selling price, when you subtract the cost price from the selling price, we have profits at 420. Thank you very much.